Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and welcome back to our Commander 2014 deck review series. Peer Through Time is an interesting strategy with a unique commander in Teferi. Let's take a closer look. Teferi has played a big role in Magic history and even had a previous card as a creature in Time Spiral. But this time around we get a Planeswalker, showing Teferi before he gave up his spark in a plot event called the Mending. Teferi is the most expensive of the walkers at 6 mana, and at that price, you have to be getting something strong at the cost, especially in Commander. With cards such as Consecrated Sphinx, Deadeye Navigator, or Frost Titan also at 6, you need to make your 6-drop count. Teferi has the highest starting loyalty at 5, so at least he can take a beating and hold up. His first ability lets you look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put one on the bottom and the other in your hand. It's not a bad ability at all, it's just something you'd expect on a 3 or 4 mana Planeswalker, not a 6. Having a Planeswalker as your commander means that you're likely giving up a possible win condition that a creature provides, so a walker has to pick up the slack somewhere. The middle ability is exactly what we want from a 6 mana Planeswalker. For 1 loyalty you can untap up to 4 target permanents. Whether you're untapping lands and rocks for mana, untapping creatures after combat, or just getting extra uses out of tap abilities, the effect will always be strong. The best part about the ability is that it only costs 1 loyalty. With the right setup, you're likely going to get 2 or 3 uses out of it. Being able to untap up to 12 permanents is more than enough to take over a game. Honestly, wouldn't even bother with the first ability unless you're in top deck mode. The last ability gives you an emblem that allows you to activate abilities of Planeswalkers whenever you can play an instant on any player's turn. Unfortunately, there aren't any other Planeswalkers in this deck, so you'll have to find your own to put in. The emblem will end the game quickly if you have a couple walkers in play and has that epic feel you want from a Planeswalker commander. Assuming you can get to 10, winning will be a breeze. Peer Through Time is built like a typical control deck, electing to play defense early in order to accelerate into some heavier threats in the late game when everyone else has exhausted their resources. The deck has 8 mana rocks to ensure you hit your top end. Fathom Seer, Muldrifter, and Archmage give you some early draw and help you get ahead fast. Turn to Frog, Pongify, Dismiss, and Exclude represent your early disruption and protection against fast starts. Domineering Will is an interesting new concept that lets you steal creatures to block with and is a neat control trick. Teferi may not be able to win by himself, but the creatures in the deck are formidable. Frost Titan, Sphinx of Magosi, and Sphinx of Uthun are all capable of winning games. Storm Surge, Kraken, and Breaching Leviathan are new cards that also act as win conditions. In fact, there are at least 10 creatures in the deck with power 5 or greater, which is rare in any blue deck. So whether you're clearing the way with Hoverguard Sweepers or locking down the board with Lorthos the Tidemaker, you have plenty of ways to stick a huge body and win the game. Your spells can pull some weight too, with Cyclonic Rift, Rite of Replication, and Distorting Wake all potentially devastating. The deck certainly justifies all the mana rocks by playing a ton of impact spells at the top. You might even mill someone out with Stroke of Genius. You have a good balance of high and low cost spells and plenty of means to play them. Teferi is likely a better support card than a commander, but if you decide to run him as one, you want to surround him with some Planeswalkers. Tamiyo, Karn, and a pile of Jaces are a good start. You want to build around that ultimate since it's extremely powerful once it goes off. You'll also want to prioritize ways to protect Teferi. Propaganda is a good start to protect your walkers. Wall of Frost, Polymorphous Jest, and Whelming Wave are other ways to discourage attacks. Blue's good at bouncing away potential threats for tempo. Capsize is another solid consideration that you can easily get more usage out of. You'll likely need to maximize control pieces over big dumb creatures if you plan to do the control route. There's a paltry 2 counterspells in the deck and only 1 hits creatures. Glenelendra Archmage, Draining Welk, and Cryptic Commander are a good start. Even just a regular old counterspell can go a long way in this strategy. You'll need to do whatever you can to protect Teferi. The deck's very good at accelerating to its top end, but you can still make it better. Gauntlet of Power, Extra Planar Lens, and Caged Sun are all great ways to double or triple your mana. Gilded Lotus, Mana Vault, and Grim Monolith are other good ways to accelerate. One-shot effects such as Turnabout or High Tide are also worth consideration if you're trying to have one big turn. If you're looking for some big spells to sink your mana into, Blue Sun Zenith is a good draw engine that occasionally doubles as a win condition. Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, and Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre are giant threats with extra effects tacked on. Or you can be unfun and sink that mana into a Blightsteel Colossus. Your call, really. If you enjoy the big mythical blue creature route, you have plenty of other options. Lorthos can become your commander and you can build around quests for Ula's Temple. Shipbreaker Kraken, Scourge of Fleets, Tidal Kraken, and Grozoth are just some of the big monsters you can jam into your deck. Financially, the blue deck is a little lacking in solid money cards. Rite of Replication, Tectonic Edge, and Stroke of Genius are all $3 to $5 reprints on the list. Tech Edge is a solid modern card, while the other two are commander mainstays. As with the other decks, you get a medallion of the deck's color and a Sol Ring. It seems like Wizards made an effort to make sure they didn't print a card like True Name Nemesis and make 4 of the deck significantly worse. There aren't really any standout cards in most of the decks, and nothing looks like it'll hit $30 or warp entire formats. If anything, buy the decks because you enjoy them or want to play with them, since it really isn't much of an investment. Teferi itself may end up being worth some change down the road, but he's in no short supply as of this week. Pretty much any deck heavy on Planeswalkers will consider this for its ultimate, and control decks will strongly consider it for the middle ability alone. It has pretty good potential as a support card, but probably not to build around. An interesting card to consider is Reform. Aside from Chasm Skulker, there really isn't a blue token generator of its kind, and certainly not one that keeps getting bigger. The card may be like Michaeloth in the future and just be a $5 card and a casual favorite. People will definitely try this in their blue decks, as it's pretty unique as far as token generators go. Peer Through Time is a good combination of solid control elements and giant creatures that can single-handedly win games. If you dream of punching people to death with big mythical sea creatures, this is certainly the deck for you. Let me know what you think about the Blue Commander deck in the comments below and what cards you would add. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source, I'm Wedge, thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.